to negative 3r, everything raised to the third power. Copy the base. What happens to the exponents? Copy the base. What operation we apply next?
Multiplying?
Yes. And let's multiply negative 3r by 3. What do we get?
Negative 9.
Negative 9r. Very good. This is it. Very good. Now in the next section of practice, which is 5.4 part B, things as I mentioned, and Rachel said so, things are getting hairy now. Okay, so please pay attention. Please stop me for any question. So I have 3x squared minus 15x divided by 3. A long time ago, we wrote something very important. I'm going to write it again. We simplify only, anybody remembers? We
Like terms?
Factors, comma, never terms. We simplify only factors, never terms. Factors are quantities that are multiplied. Factors. Terms are quantities that are added or subtracted. So it would be a terrible mistake to simplify this 3 with this 3. Why? Because this is a term connected by subtraction to another term. And the rule does never, ever, ever allow us to simplify terms or portions of a term. So please do not ever, ever make this mistake. Never, ever, ever. So then what can I do? I have two options. I'm going to move on to the next page with the same problem. If I can move on to the next page. Okay. So I'm going to copy that. 3x squared minus 15x divided by 3. What is the question here, first of all? Simplify. Simplify. This is the question. Simplify. Okay. Option number 1 and option number 2. They have to give us the same answer. In option number 2, I separate. What do I separate? I separate this expression that has two terms, one term and the other, into two fractions. So I write 3x squared minus 15x over 3 as 3x squared over 3 minus 15x over 3. It's the same thing. Two quantities, two fractions with the same denominator. I can condense them like this, but I can also go back. Now I can simplify because I'm simplifying factors. So the answer is x squared minus 5x, and I'm done. So I separate into that number of, based on the number of terms at the top. If I have two terms, I separate into two fractions. If I have 5 terms at the top, I separate into 5 fractions, and so on and so forth. This method works as long as the denominator is one term. Don't erase anything. I will erase it. If I have here plus x, there is no point in separating. It's not going to work. I will not be able to simplify. but I have only one term. Whenever I have only one term, don't write the x, I'll erase it. If I have only one term in the denominator, I can separate it in fractions, into fractions. What is option number 2? Option number 2 is something very important that we're going to deal with in entire module 6, is this word, factor or factoring. Good, so how do I do that? I have 3x squared minus 15x divided by 3. I will factor out, of course in the numerator, the greatest common factor. So option number 1 works because I have one term in the denominator. Option number 2, I have to factor out the greatest common factor of these two terms. What is common to these two terms when it comes to the number? And then I'm going to ask you about x. What is common to those two terms? To 3 and 15, what is common? What factor is common to both?
Divisible by 3?
Yes, so I will pull out 3. Also notice that x squared and x have an x in common. The smallest power of the two. I cannot, don't put it because I'm going to erase it. I cannot put x squared because here I only have x. I cannot put x to the third because I only have 2 and 1. I can only use the lowest power. The lowest power is 1. Notice one thing very important. I started with 2 terms. I have to have in parentheses 2 terms, no matter what, because I have to be able to recover this expression. So now I'm going to ask you, 3x times what is 3x squared? What do I have to write here, in here? And then I have to write minus. And then I'm going to ask you, 3x times what is 15x?
X?
Indeed, because 3x times x is indeed 3x squared. And 3x times what is negative 15x?
5?
Yes, indeed. Now, I am allowed to simplify because now I have only factors in the numerator. I no longer have terms. How come? I have a factor multiplied by another factor multiplied by another factor. I have 3 factors. This one that I just covered it up, x as the second factor and 3 as the third factor. So because all these are factors, no longer terms, I'm allowed to simplify. Excellent. So the answer is x quantity x minus 5. If you want to show that it's the same, just distribute. All of this is based on what we discussed, the power rules, the exponential rules, I mean. And now we are introducing the new concept of factoring out the greatest common factor. Any questions? Yes, we're going to have many more like this. Any questions?
What if there's 2 numbers or 2 factors in the bottom denominator?
That's fine. So if I have something like, let's say, I have 3x x minus 5 divided by 3x to the third. I'll simplify the 3, and I will only simplify one x of these two. One x from the top with another x from the bottom, and I still have two of those left. So I have x minus 5 over x squared. Do not attempt to simplify anything. This is it carved in stone.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Because we cannot simplify terms. Very good question. Is there anything you'd like to ask here before we move on to the next example? Okay, let's continue.
Yeah, I have a question. So if you did the 3 times 3 divided by 3, right?
So we're talking about this one or this
Yeah.
one?
The last one.
Yeah.
Yes, that's. So if you did the 3 minus 3 and you got 1, but where did you get that x squared from? Because it's only one x on top.
Yes. So there are 3 x's. X times x times x, and I only simplified one of those. And I'm still left with 2. So the numerator has an x, and the denominator has x times x times x. I only simplify one of those, and I still have x squared left. Because the power is 3. And I can only remove 1.
Okay.
Is that better?
Where'd you get the last 3 x's from the bottom from? So yeah, where'd you get the last 3 x's at the bottom from though?
I created a new example for Rachel to answer her question. So this has nothing to do with what we just did.
Oh no, I'm talking about for the last question. Like where'd you get the 3 x's for the denominator?
This one here.
Oh, it was 3x cubed.
So x cubed has x times x times x. Copy the base, add the exponents. 1 plus 1 plus 1 is 3.
I think what you're asking is, what she's saying is you can't touch the parentheses. What's in the parentheses stays there. You can only do the stuff outside, and there's 3 and an x outside the parentheses, and you're able to simplify those out.
I don't think that that's the question.
Oh, okay.
I don't know. Maybe you're right. Was that the question?
No, that was okay. So the numerator, you said 3, and it was 3x, right? And I was like, okay, I get that part. So you divide the x, and you divide 3, and then you divide the x, and that's both 1. But I just didn't know where you got the 3 x squared from.
Okay. So x divided by x to the cube to the third power. I copy the base and I subtract the exponents. 1 minus 3 is negative 2. Then I have a negative exponent, and I have to bring it back to the denominator.
Oh, okay.
The same concept is, if I have x and x times x times x, I simplify only one of them. So the answer is 1 over x squared.
Okay, thank you.
Is that better?
Yes.
Perfect. Good. Let's continue. 15x squared minus 12x. Everything divided by 3x. So let's work on this one for 1 minute. You can use option 1 or you can use option 2. Why? Because the denominator, why option 1 works is because the denominator is one term. Otherwise, it will not work. So we want to use option 1, meaning separate, or option 2, meaning factor. Out the greatest common factor. Option 1 or option 2, please.
1.
Okay, if that's the case, just separate. If you separate, you are allowed to simplify because now everything is a factor. 15 is a factor, x squared is a factor, 3 is a factor, x is a factor, 12 is a factor, x is a factor, 3 and x. So, what do we have from coming out from the first fraction? After you simplify.
Five x.
5x indeed. Because I simplify 3 by 3, 15 by 3, and x goes away, and then x goes away. Minus. Of course, it makes no sense unless we write that x is not 0, otherwise the whole thing collapses. So x simplified goes away, and 3 simplified, and we get 4. Is this okay? Everybody, is this okay? Yes, no?
Yes.
Okay, moving on to another example. Let's say 3x to the 6th minus 18x to the 5th minus 60x, everything divided by 15x. Option 1 works only because the denominator is one term. Otherwise, the only other option is option 2. So let's work on this problem. For those of you who came in late today, please register for test 3 and the final exam immediately. So you can get in and get the spot, the time slot you want. Okay, which option we use here? Option 1 or option 2? Option 1 or option 2? Okay, so once you separate, because the denominator is one term, you can simplify each individually. It only works because the denominator is one term. Otherwise, the only option left is number 2. Okay, so when we simplify by 3, and we simplify by x, and we have x to the 5th left. So x to the 5th over 5 minus. We simplify by 3, and we get 6, and we get 5, and I will remove one x. So 6/5, x to the 4th. I'll simplify x and x, they go away. Of course, x cannot be 0. And when I simplify, I get minus 4. And this is it. Any questions on this problem? Any questions? All these problems come from your practice.
So does it have to be x to the 5th power over 5, or can it be
1/5 x to the 5th power
Yeah,
is the
okay,
same.
okay.
Yes, because remember, we said that this is very important to be able to toggle between these two. X to the 5th over 5 is the same with 1/5 x to the 5th. Sometimes this is better, sometimes this is more useful. So we have to be able, when we look at this, we have to be able to identify the coefficient in front of x to the 5th. Very good point, Rachel. Thank you. That's why I did not wait till this moment, because I knew that this sometimes may create issues. So we studied this situation a month ago. Okay, here's another. 9x to the 4th minus 4x to the 7th plus 2x to the 6th. Everything divided by 20x to the 4th. The denominator is only one term. We can separate. So if we use option 1, then we have 9x to the 4th over 20x to the 4th minus 4x to the 7th over 20x to the 4th plus 2x to the 6th over 20x to the 4th. After simplification, and of course, this is the restriction, mandatory restriction on x. Please tell me how you simplify each fraction.